Here we go again, spot number 9. And Peter, this is a gentleman that you know pretty well. It is Wisvanathan Vishy Anand, born in 1969, which makes him 50 years old at the time of recording. What can you tell us about Vishy?
A lot, but let's keep it factual here. So, well, his claim to be in the top 10 of the greatest players ever is, I would say, mainly his World Championship record, right? He starts off early in a way and has a match with Kasparov that he loses despite he starts with 8 draws and actually wins a game. But then it goes wrong for him, and it takes really a while before he gets active in the World Championship cycles again because there's some kind of political turmoil at the time. Well, he wins sort of a knockout tournament in '98 that gives the right to challenge Karpov in a match, which he then loses. And then in 2000, he becomes FIDE world champion for the first time because he wins the knockout tournament in his native country, India, and then the final against Shirov in Tehran in 2000. But this is sort of during the split. So I think a big thing for Vishy was also to win the undisputed world championship, and that really took a while because of all these kind of shenanigans that was going on at the time. But he gets his shot, and in 2007 he wins the tournament with 8 players in Mexico, and in a quite a convincing fashion. But still, there would be sort of doubts about his legitimacy for being the world champion because he hadn't won in the match. So the rules was that the winner of the tournament, was it not Kramnik himself, would have to play a match with Kramnik. And this one he wins in 2008 in a very convincing manner. And then he keeps on winning 2 more matches, first against Topalov and then against Gelfand. And in that way, you can say he manifests himself as the winner of his generation in a way. And then he had to face the younger Carlsen in 2013 and 14, where he loses both the matches. So he comes out with a match record of 3 wins and 3 losses, or 4 losses if you count the match with Karpov, but then of course you can also count the final match with Shirov and such. So, but he has played, humongous amount of World Championship matches, and he's won 5 official World Championships. If you calculate the tournament was definitely there, and then there is the FIDE knockout in 2000 as well. Then, if you look at sort of his ranking, he's been number 1 on the ranking list, and he's been rated 28-17, which is both very well. What you can hold against him, also that we don't have him even higher, is that he's never sort of a crushing number 1, right? He's competing with Kasparov. I think he's even equal with Kasparov. And there's 1 year where I think he wins the Oscar ahead of Kasparov, for instance, and such. But even when he's becoming the world champion, he's sort of fighting with Magnus about being number 1, with Topalov, with Kramnik. So it's always sort of, he is at time maybe the best among equals, but it's not like he's a dominant number 1 ever. But still quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah, sounds fair. Obviously, the longevity thing is very much there. He's a world-class player through the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Even now, at the time of recording, his FIDE rating is 2753 in September 2020, age 50, which, yeah. He's a great, great champion of our times, and he's won in every format. Like his dominance in Rapid and Blitz and so on is obviously there as well.
That's true. We haven't even mentioned that. I think while we said he was maybe never a clear and dominant number 1 in classical chess, I think for 10 years he was basically winning everything that existed in Rapid and Blitz, right? I mean, when I was working for him, I mean, I think this big Rapid matches he would play in Mainz in Germany, he would basically always win. And well, any kind of Rapid tournament, you just expected Vishy to win at the time, simply. And I think most of the time he did. He was just extremely strong in that format. And well, if anything, he was suffering a bit for that. That format has gotten more popular and has got more prestige of lately, when Vishy sort of got older, and obviously then that maybe hinders you a bit in that discipline. But he was very dominant in that before it became really a sort of a very serious sport as it is now.
Yeah, sounds fair. Of course, he has also had a tremendous influence. If we look at the current chess boom in India, all of that is not happening without Vishy Anand.
No, that is, I mean, basically, well, India was a weak chess nation at that point when he sort of started, and I think he learned chess in the local Russian cultural Soviet control center that would be and such. And no, it was a surprise. And even early on, he does become the world junior champion, but it takes a while before he stands out as the, let's say, prime talent of his generation. And that, of course, was very nice late in his career that he actually managed to beat his main competitors and such. And I think he was always a huge talent and always close to being number one and such. But when working for him, it was clear for us that what really mattered was to get these official world championships. And they when it rains it pours, they came more than we expected. But somehow it felt that he belonged there rightfully, and winning one world championship match was a huge goal for Vichy and myself at some point. So it's nice to sit here and talk about how many it actually became.
Yeah, no, the record is very much there. As you mentioned, the reason we don't have him even higher is that he's never clearly the best player. He's among the best players for 3 decades, but he's fighting with Kasparov. Then he's sort of maybe first among equals with Kramnik and Topalov for a bit after Kasparov retires, and then Carlsen shows up. So that's the part that's missing.
I think both his matches with Kramnik and Topalov, the bookmakers and the expectations would basically see them as equal, maybe 55% to Vichy, but it was anybody's chance. I mean, that basically reflects how the strength was seen at the time, right? That they were just very equal, and then one of them would have to win, right? And it always was Vichy.
Yep. Fair enough. So Vichy Anand at number 9. Let's look at a game, maybe not his most beautiful game there, his game against Aronia, which we also debated, still very high on the list for me, but of tremendous sporting relevance from this 2008 match, where he wins his first match title, if we can call it that, with the black pieces against Vladimir Kramnik.
Yeah, I think it's defining because, winning that match put him clearly ahead of Kramnik, while had the result reversed, then we would also not have Vichy in top 10. And, he wouldn't have gotten his 3 world championship titles later and such. So this was incredibly important. Anyway, you wanted to say something about the opening, I think.
No, not really. Also, this is an important point. This match, in a way, is the tiebreaker between Kramnik and him, 2 of the big champions of, our lifetime, our generation, where, had Vichy lost that, probably our rankings would look very different. But
it would have been
does win it.
If we talk a bit about Vichy stylistically, I remember when, before I started to work with Vichy, I would see Kramnik as sort of this deep strategical player and Vichy more as a tactician and such. But now I have spent tremendous time talking with Vichy about chess, and his chess understanding is absurdly deep. And I had a very superficial view of it, and if anything, Kramnik could be just as strong tactically, but not in a quick way, as we will see here and such. So, Vichy is just an all-round player. You don't get to become a 5-time world champion with not understanding these things very deeply and such. But I think at some point, maybe because of his rapid success, he was seen as someone who was mainly a tactician, but he's much, much deeper than that.
Yeah, I never thought of him as a tactician. The one thing I thought he added, or at least looking from the outside, maybe in the mid-2000s, was this incredibly deep opening preparation, which at least in my book he wasn't famous for before. Also, of course, because of you guys and the teams he had playing these world championships.
Keep talking, yeah.
No, but he was always good, following trends and being well prepared, but he didn't feel like an innovator, at least early in his career. There was always more Kramnik for us, and that changed a bit then later on.
Yeah, but also, I think World Championship matches has this effect on you. I mean that, there you have to innovate something. Also, it's such an important event, and it, because of huge prize funds, you have so big resources that, before me, he was working mainly with Ubilar, and then he started working with me. But when you have a World Championship match, you sort of have a team of 4 seconds and such. And, I think later in his career, he started being a workaholic, basically. Before World Championship matches, we would work for 3 months non-stop. I think for the last one with Gelfand, we literally worked 3 months non-stop. And I mean, yeah, I think. Well, I think it gives away his determination that he really wanted to win. I'm not sure he enjoys it particularly, but you should see it more as ambitions and sort of. I mean, something he had to do rather than he thought that that's how chess should be. I think he's just Vichy is very pragmatic, and well, he understood the computers was very important and such. Still, I mean, I remember my first training session with Vichy was Ubilava was there, and maybe later I get this sort of image of being very thorough. But the first time I was with him, I mean, well, I showed him some idea, and the Grunfeld was actually yours. Thank you, by the way. Well, I showed him some ideas, and I said, okay, well, but maybe we are finished with this line. He said, no, we're just starting. I said, okay. So, I mean, well, he was still, but it's true that the first session I had with him, I was, selling him some of your stuff that you didn't know about and such. So that was, well, very, very nice. But it's true that maybe earlier and against Kasparov, he was suffering in the openings, but also Kasparov disappeared, and then somehow it left room for others, right? And I think that Kramnik you would see as the dominating force in the openings before the Bonn match and after the Bonn match, but not for 2 weeks during the Bonn match.
Yeah, and this position we have on the board is a very sharp line of the Maran Semislav, which at that time wasn't considered very promising for black. And in a way, this next move, bishop to b7, which was a surprise, well, one could even say won him the match. No, he wins 2 games.
He starts winning 2 games with black from this position. So that's of course a crucial thing. And I think the point is, it's actually not very good, but
it works.
It works. I mean, that's the point. And I think also sort of we asked Vichy, maybe you should play it again. I said, no, it has done its thing for me and such. Well, it's an interesting position. If you look at this visually, it looks great for black, right? I mean, everything points in the right direction. The rook, the bishop, the queen you can sacrifice with d3. The bishop goes to d6. But, chess is apparently not like that. But it is here. And no, you're right that he sort of managed to ambush Kramnik. But I think it's only part of the story, because when you look at the games, I think it's worth noting that Kramnik gets an absolutely fine position. He might even be better. It's just Vichy who plays it incredibly well.
Yeah, it's very complex. This is the second game in that line. We've done a video series on this very match, which you can also check out. So there won't be any excruciating detail here. But basically, it's a complex position in both games, actually, where Vichy does not set a foot wrong, and I think rook a3 was criticized for weakening the back.
Somewhat, but again, it's also a very, very complicated position. And I think this is sort of maybe the last, before rook a3 was the last thing Vichy had sort of glanced with his computer in the morning, while for Kramnik it was completely new terrain and such. Yeah. So it was very much practical. But, I mean, till here you can praise preparation, but he's probably slightly worse as far as I remember. And what he does, the next moves he plays incredibly well, and on the sort of when it really matters. Also, I mean, again, when you look at this position, white does have 2 passed pawns, and it's not really clear how you progress with your attack and such. It's not at all given that white is better here. I mean, this idea that we won him this one with preparation is just not true. We gave him a complex position where he had chances to outplay, and he did that incredibly well. So,
yeah, but that's also preparation, no? Be up half an hour on the clock, complex position.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, he gets a decent starting point, but I mean, it's also possible to lose this very quickly. I think when he played queen, I think I asked him, when did you see this thing that actually ends the game? And I think when he played queen e5, he had seen this. And I mean, it must also be, you understand, he's up +1. He sees a beautiful trick. I mean, his nervous system must have been going nuts at this point, I think. But he handles this. I mean, in Bonn, he was just so good. Rook c5 is a very, very, very nice move. I mean, it really provokes what's going to happen, and maybe it threatens knight e5 or things like that. But mainly, it's sort of, yeah.
Yeah, the key moment also probably ending this match in hindsight is here, where Kramnik goes for this knight takes d4 combination, which looks nice at first sight, but just doesn't work, which, as you mentioned, Vichy had spotted from way, way back.
So it's, d7 is hanging. Kramnik has seen what's come next. Takes, check.
So far, so good. They had expected
And now
this.
Kramnik was
Kramnik
expecting knight
counting on
h2.
this. Black fights for a draw. I don't know if he manages.
I don't think he manages, but it's close. But it's also, well, that's what I said about that. Kramnik is a great calculator, but he might miss some things. I think maybe when someone was comparing Kasparov and Karpov, it was a bit the same, that Kasparov could maybe calculate much longer. And maybe Kramnik can that, I'm not sure. But that these intuitive guys will see quick tactics much quicker. And as I said, well, this one Vichy had seen from very far away. And well, instead of becoming a difficult ending, Kramnik resigns. Right?
Yeah, knight e3. And
it's very beautiful.
It's just game over.
Yeah.
You have to capture h3, rook f1, and rook f2 resigns as well. And after fe, fe, there's just nothing to stop this pawn.
Yeah.
It's a unique construction.
But his passed pawns are blocking his own rook, right? So that's ironic in a way.
So that's Wisvanathan at number 9 of our rankings. Thank you for watching.